People talk about this idea that they want to live in the moment, that I actually do live in the moment, which means that when I'm in this moment in this chair, or when I'm making that deal, or when I'm running that strategy workshop, I'm in the moment. I'm in that space and I'm on. But that also means that I forget what happened 30 minutes ago, and maybe I'm not prepared what's going to happen in 30 minutes from now. I'm really good at this. I am on in the moment. But if I took 2 seconds to kind of go, am I prepared for what's coming? That's when the anxiety would kind of take over. Or what if this happens? That's where it'd be like, oh crap. Maybe I'm not capable of doing this.
Rise up, mind shift, new day, new hustle, street lights, bright ideas, courage through the struggle, focus on the vision, move smart, stay true, from the city to the boardroom, we breaking through, shift gears, new fears, but we thrive in attention, turn lessons into action, goals into intention, don't blink, stay up, every player's precision, welcome to mind shift, where ambition meets the mission.
My name is George Brooks, and I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Crema, based in Kansas City. We're a design and technology consultancy. And I get to pull together teams that help organizations figure out how to scale.
When you were really lost, what was the voice in your head telling you every day?
The voice in my head was telling me that ignorance is bliss is actually a superpower. Not knowing what to do meant that I didn't know what not to do. Especially early days of Crema, there was this feeling of, we have to make this work. And I was a new dad, new business partner, and the options were either make this work or go back and, choose a different career. And I think that the voice in my head was saying, you don't have another option. You have to make this work.
How did that feel emotionally? Like, what was going on the inside?
Honestly, emotionally, it was exciting. For me, that people want to live in the moment. People talk about this idea that they want to live in the moment. And actually, I have this unique gift or curse, depending on how you look at it, that I actually do live in the moment, which means that when I'm in this moment in this chair, or when I'm making that deal, or when I'm running that strategy workshop, I'm in the moment. I'm in that space and I'm on. But that also means that I forget what happened 30 minutes ago, and maybe I'm not prepared what's going to happen in 30 minutes from now. So it meant that I had to learn how to kind of surround myself with people that knew how to plan ahead really well, that knew how to retrospect on what's happened and learn from that. So for me, it was actually, what I felt on the inside was, I'm really good at this. I am on in the moment. But if I took 2 seconds to kind of go, am I prepared for what's coming? That's when the anxiety would kind of take over. Or what if this happens? That's where it'd be like, oh crap. Maybe I'm not capable of doing this. And we've had seasons of up and downs, big ups and very big downs in my company's history. And you do ask yourself the question of, do I know what I'm doing? And for me, it quite literally had me on my knees praying on a regular basis for, okay, God, help me to figure out, what do I got to do next?
What thoughts or doubts kept spinning in your mind? Was there a story that you kept telling yourself?
Again, it's interesting because I don't hold much baggage, because living in the moment, I don't think too much about the regrets of what I did or didn't do. But I think the thing that often spins in my head is that it all comes down to me. That the narrative I would tell myself, and my business partner is really good at holding me accountable for this, is when I'm using the word I too much, it usually means that I've forgotten that there's a team around me. And when you're an entrepreneur, when you're starting a company, when you're pulling together a group of people towards a purpose and a mission, it means that you have to trust that team that you've pulled around you to be part of the living out that purpose and mission. And when things would get hard, or when things wouldn't be going well, or when we would, think that our new service line or our new product or whatever it was that we were doing was the right thing, but it wasn't landing or it wasn't selling, I would think, I need to go fix it. I need better positioning. I need to sell this better. I need to go meet with more people. I need to go, beg, borrow, and steal whatever I can to make it work. But the first part of that question, that statement was always I, and I would forget that actually this is a we. This is a we activity. That we are doing this. It's a team. I have a business partner that is balancing me for the things that I'm weak in. I have a team of folks that believe in the mission, the purpose of what we're trying to do, and they want to be a part of the solution of how to make it work. And in my worst place, the narrative I tell myself is that I'm the only one that can save this. It's just not true.
What strategies do you use to reset mentally when you're feeling overwhelmed or stuck?
Yeah. A couple things that I do is that I have rhythms of the folks that I meet with, whether it's mentors or even my business partner. We get together on a weekly basis and we check in. It is how are you feeling today? What's going well? It's kind of retrospecting on what's going well. What could we do better? Where are we spinning? And I think having those built-in rhythms to say, I know that meeting's coming, then it primes me to say, oh, I need to be thinking a little bit further outside of that 30-minute window of living in the moment, and instead going, okay, what really did happen this last week? What's the narrative in my head saying about this was a good week or a bad week? And then ultimately, where does that lead to? No, there's some things that we could refine and get better at, or maybe some just small adjustments to my thinking right now that can help me. But generally speaking, I think that having the rhythm set up to meet with somebody who's going to hold me accountable to, not using that I phrase too much, looking at the team, remembering what we're here for, remembering what their purpose and our values are about. I think accountability has been my saving grace, is because the people around me have remind me, they speak it into me because sometimes I can't speak it into myself.
During that phase of life where you felt lost, where did you turn for answers or inspiration?
Yeah, definitely had the mentors or coaches or friends, folks that had been along the journey further than me, that either had their own businesses, that they'd gone through it, or even actually sometimes even coaching up and coming folks was a good way to remind myself. I think of mentorship is not a one-way street. A lot of times people think a mentor is someone who's going to speak into you, give you wisdom that you can take and then go apply. But actually most mentorships that I had, either that I was a mentor or I had a mentor, it was definitely a two-way street. I was giving them a gift just as much as they were giving me a gift. And so I think that mentorship, coaching, getting perspective was huge. For me, in my worldview, faith was a big component of what I turned to, was reminding myself that my identity is not in this place called Crema or being a CEO or being a founder. My identity is in Christ. And so that was a big part of it.
We are architects of attention. We don't just tell stories, we ignite them. With cinematic vision and digital fire, we turn brains into experiences. Our stories don't whisper, they roar. Bold, raw, unforgettable. We transform moments into movements. Each pixel, each frame, each word crafted to leave a mark. We don't chase trends, we set them ablaze. Your brain is more than a logo, it's a living, breathing force. We amplify voices, spark conversations, and build connections that stick. Our creators are relentless, award-winning, and obsessed with excellence. We are storytellers, weave our brain amplifiers. We connect you to the modern consumer, wherever they are and however they listen. Dare to be seen, dare to be heard, dare to be unforgettable.
Can you give some advice on how you go about finding a mentor?
Yeah, it's super awkward to find a mentor because it means you have to step out of your comfort zone and just ask. I'll be honest, I was rejected by some folks that said, I don't have time for that. I can't. I think what you're doing is cool. I think you're cool. I wish I could make the time for you, but I'm trying to figure out my own stuff right now. And quite clearly said, not you, not right now. That was hard because actually I still remember one very specific person that I thought, man, this person would be my perfect mentor. He'd been through it. The way he ran his company was inspiring. What I didn't know is a lot of other things that were happening in his life at the time. And I've since learned about many of those things later on. But I think that it was definitely a blow when that person said no. But I think then getting back up and saying, okay, well, who else can I reach out to? It's everything's sales. I hate that term, but the reality is everything's sales. And even finding a mentor is kind of a sales process. It's going in and asking yet again, could you speak into me? Can I pick your time? Also, don't use the word mentor when you're talking about it. For some reason, that just makes it weird. Just say like, hey, can we have a conversation? Can I grab you coffee or lunch? I want to pick your brain on a couple things. And then just keep doing it until basically they become your mentor.
Was there a particular resource or piece of content that changed your mindset or helped you get closer to clarity?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, over and over again, tons of different resources. We've been doing this for almost 17 years. And each season brings a new perspective. I used to say that if we look like, if Crema looks the same 2 years from now as we do now, then we're on our way to being irrelevant or obsolete. So what that requires is that we're always evolving, we're always learning, we're always changing. Even if the mission, purpose, and values are still the same, we're still headed in the same direction. If we're not applying that in new ways that fit with our current market and demands and needs, then we're probably on our way to be irrelevant or obsolete. So for us, that was adopting frameworks and tools like lean methodologies early on. So reducing waste and looking for ways to iterate and measure and learn. Look like using agile processes to focus on people over process and looking for ways to build ceremonies into how we build products for ourselves and for our clients. Thought leaders like Jeff Godoff or Simon Sinek or Marty Kagan were just folks, especially in the technology, user experience design and kind of early business development. They were really transformational into going, oh, interesting. And the old traditional way of planning something out over a long period of time and then having a long roadmap, et cetera, there may be ways to kind of build, measure, and learn quickly and iteratively so that you're not in a space where you've put all your eggs in one basket and now that basket is no longer needed or wanted in the world.
Did you ever have a moment of false clarity, thinking you found the right answer or path, but when you acted on it, it didn't fit or hit the way you expected? Tell me, what was that like?
When have I not done that? That's probably the better question. Yeah, I'm the type, so different people learn different ways. My wife's an academic at heart. She loves being in a classroom. She loves having her head in a book. She loves writing papers and, referencing the cited sources. That seems like my worst nightmare. Me, on the other hand, I love to experiment. So for me, it's I'm going to test that language. I'm going to test that positioning. I'm going to test this new service. I'm going to test that brand. I'm going to test out the way of running this workshop with a new client. I'm going to test a new strategy approach. And I would say a lot of times it does work, right? I did my research to know that this is a valid way of doing something. A lot of times it didn't. So I remember there was a client one time that we walked in, we did a strategy workshop all the way through. I was using some new tools, some new approaches, and it felt weird. It felt clunky. And they said as much. They gave me feedback. They're like, this doesn't feel great. They actually ended up asking for their money back, which at that time was thousands of dollars, which we were like, well, yeah, of course. Like we want you to have a great experience. So we did end up giving their money back. Still have a good relationship with those folks. But it was something that fell in his face, and it wasn't all bad. Actually, I think there was a lot of pieces of it that we went, oh, actually, I think where it went wrong and kind of retrospecting on it was, 2 steps down this path and we took a left, we should have taken a right there. And I think that going back and saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It just happened to be that this was something that really forced us to go. The big picture, the client wanted their money back. That happens. We're in the client services space. But the looking further ahead, it's really being focused on, okay, what do we learn from that? How do we keep going? It's not all bad. So failures, yeah, every day.
So tell me, that moment you saw the light, or in other words, you found clarity, what pushed you over the edge and how did it feel?
The moment I saw the light. When did I see the light? Have I seen the light? Do I actually believe there is a light? Yeah, but a sense of clarity. Yeah, I mean, when you have a client that comes back after you've delivered on this thing that you made up, right? Maybe you didn't completely make it up. You kind of begged, borrowed, and stole from a bunch of other ideas, but you pulled it together in a unique way and said, will you give me money for this thing that I want to give to you? And it might be a product, it might be a service. For us, it's services. And then they turn back around and they're like, this was awesome. No, I mean, you could just stop there. If we could just do that over and over and over again. And that's what we try to do. We try to recreate that moment over and over and over again where clients go, I'm so glad that I chose you to partner with you, to work with you. And because of that, we're going to be better. And I'm going to tell all my friends. But yeah, that's hands down, that's the best thing ever.
Looking back, what would you tell your past self at your lowest point?
I mean, I think this is true of any tough season, is that it's almost impossible to believe that it'll get better. We had seasons where we lost, quite transparently, probably millions of dollars. And there's the thought of, this might be the end. This might be it. We're done. And I think that moment, there's no way for me to have told myself this. So it's a little bit of like a hypothetical, but at that moment to say, no, it will get better. Getting through this, you're going to learn more through this hard time than you ever would have learned by just winning all the time. And so I think that reminding myself that that's a season of deep, 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 deep learning, and then going, it has nothing but up from here. So we're at rock bottom, nothing but up from here. So it will get better. I think that's the thing I would tell myself.
How has your definition of success changed from when you were lost to where you are now?
Yeah, I think actually my definition of success changes on a regular basis. There's different types of success. Obviously, you could talk about financial success, like the company making a certain revenue target or a certain profit margin that you wanted to go for. Me being able to take home a certain paycheck or being able to invest in another company because there was money to do that. Or it could be me thinking about the idea that I really could take off 2 weeks and the company would be okay. That I could rest and the organization would still be healthy and still keep going. I think that to me is probably one of my biggest measures for success in this stage of my life, is whether or not I'm allowed to rest or I will allow myself to rest. And if I can rest and that organization still be thriving, it means that I'm not the bottleneck. I'm not the single point of failure for the organization. And I think early on, I wouldn't have had that framework because again, going back to it all being about the me, I have to save this. Well, if you have to save everything, then you'll never be able to rest. So for me, a measure of success is how much am I able to rest?
Beyond work and achievements, how do you define yourself and keep your sense of self-worth?
Yeah, I mentioned this before, but for me, I work very hard at making sure that Crema is not my identity. It is a big part of who I am. I love it. I love getting up and doing what I do every day, but it's not my identity. Again, I put my identity and my faith in God and in Christ and being an image bearer of God. I put my identity in being a husband to my wife, father to my kiddos. And then there's this thing that I get to do, which is called Crema. I get to be the founder, the CEO, the person that sells and the vision of what we are, the person that sells the services to clients. I get to dream about the horizons of where we could go. But that isn't necessarily who I am. I think who I am is rooted much deeper in something much bigger than this.
How do you separate yourself from who you are versus what you do? For instance, for a long time, when I walked in the room, I didn't feel confident because I didn't have a camera in my hand. But if I had the camera in my hand, I was confident in talking to people. But it was hard for me to separate myself from being a videographer, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me reframe the question. You're saying how, given that my identity maybe isn't rooted here, and it's not tied directly to this. How do you kind of feel confident in the spaces that you're in? I think there's a freedom in not tying yourself to your title, your job, the company that you're starting. Because the reality is the company you're starting today, or the company that you've been running for 17 years is and should be different than the company you had yesterday. And because that changes over time, you can't fall in love with your baby too much, right? You can't fall in love with that thing where you go, no, this is too much. I'm tied up in like the identity of like that perfect crystal ball that I thought that I had, because the market might come out from underneath you and you go, oh, wow, nobody wants that. So then if your identity is tied to this thing that nobody wants, then who are you? You're nothing. Well, that's not a healthy place to be. It's also not a fun place to be. But if your identity is someplace else, it gives you the freedom to say, you know what? We can change this to whatever it needs to be. Nothing's sacred here. It's good work. I do believe my work is a part of my faith. But ultimately, because my identity is somewhere else, this can change and morph and evolve tremendously over time. Like maybe a totally different company 10 years from now. And yet still, I'm still the same person I was. I'm shaped by the changes that I went through, but I'm not torn by the loss of this thing that I thought was going to be who I am.
What would you tell a fellow entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur who's feeling stuck right now or feeling lost?
I think my encouragement would be, don't stay alone. Go find someone else to talk to. That could be another peer. It could be a business partner. It could be a coach. Could be a mentor. Could be a pastor. Could be a parent. But go talk to somebody. It could be a therapist for that matter. Go talk to somebody about it. I think that getting it out of your head is a really great way to stop from spinning. That's kind of a mental health thing, right? Is being able to talk through it is a great way to say, like, stop spinning downward. Hold things loosely. So whatever you think is sacred and the most important thing, and it can't work unless it's like this, just erase that like idea that something is completely set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. Anything can change. That might mean your business partner needs to change. That's a really hard idea. Most organizations I know fail because they had a bad partnership. It might mean that the employees that you hired were the wrong employees and you need to figure out a way to part ways with those employees and get different people brought in. It might mean that the target market that you're going after is the wrong target market and you need to pivot your narrative and go after a different target market and sell to a different group. It might mean that the product that you started with or the service that you started with needs to change, or you need to add new services to that to grow over time. But I think that my encouragement is, don't believe that everything's set in stone and that nothing can change, because anything can change. Right now, you could change anything. The second thing I would say is, man, ignorance is a superpower. Like, just don't assume that because you don't know that you can't do it. We used to have this thing called Option 5. Actually, our podcast was called Option 5 for a while. But the idea was there are 4 really, really brilliant ways to do anything, right? The first one is like a master plan that you've planned out every possible scenario. The second one is, you can go through and say, well, we're going to pull in the right people. And the plan is to like make sure that we kind of coordinated everything together. The third one is like, no, we're going to use a bunch of tools that we're going to pull together, and it's the tools that are, AI is going to save the world kind of thing. Anyways, you get through these 4 options. And the fifth one is say yes and figure it out. Just say yes, figure it out. You may not know how to do it, commit to doing it, and then you'll have to do it. That goes back to what I said at the very beginning. Like, we didn't have an option to fail. I had to figure it out. We had to figure it out. I guys will watch that I language. We had to figure it out.
When things got heavy or life was hitting hard, what routines or moves did you use to keep your head straight?
Yeah, I think that's changed over time for me, especially as I've aged. But there are disciplines that are really, really helpful for me, for my mental health, for making sure that I'm in a good headspace to be able to be present, because I do like being present in the moment. One is staying as physically active as I can, working out on a regular basis, making sure that I'm active. That helps me get my blood flowing and moving. I think the second is surrounding myself with a good, close group of friends, a tight, small group of friends that I can trust, that I can share the good times and the bad times with, and they won't judge me for it. I think that then the other thing is really leaning into serving others. And that doesn't only have to be at my company, but whether that's through volunteering at my church or being a part of nonprofits, it's just this way of kind of saying like, I'm not that important. And like, there is so much more good that can be done in the world, and I can help others. So kind of getting out of my own head in that space. But I think that those disciplines, and then the last thing I'll say is, this sounds really dumb, but it goes back to my idea of rest, is stopping, breathing, holding still. I would call it prayer, but you could call it meditation. Sitting still and trying to clear my mind for about 10 minutes every morning after a cup of coffee, after a workout, and just like sit still for 10 minutes once a day. It's when you're an entrepreneur, your brain is on 24/7. I'm going to solve all of my problems at 3 o'clock in the morning because that's when my brain's like, hey, we didn't think about that during the day. Let's do it 3 o'clock in the morning. It's a terrible time to think. But then if I can take that time, that 10 minutes in the morning, with a cup of coffee, just take some breaths, sit quietly. Yeah, that helped a lot over the years.
What's one book that made a real impact on your journey?
I mean, outside of the Bible? Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'll plug it. There's a great quote from a movie. It's this priest. I'm not Catholic, but it's this priest, and he says, he quotes the Bible, and then the guy says, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "The Bible? It's a big book, but it's a cracking read." I just love that because he was like Irish. But the thing for me is, there's just so much wisdom packed into this ancient story, this beautiful ancient story that's hard to understand. It's hard to grasp. I don't know if I get all of it, but like, that's probably the book that hands down has shaped who I am. And then it's crazy because then I think about these business principles. There's so many business principles in the Bible. Nobody thinks about that. But like how we treat others, how we tell a story, how we deal with hard times, how we lament well when things aren't going the way we want. I think that's a lot of this conversation is how to lament. I don't think we know how to lament as a society very well. But you read the Psalms, man, David was lamenting. So for me, definitely the Bible's a big one, personally. From a business book perspective, there's a lot of great business books. One that is required reading at Crema is called Multipliers. There's a great idea that we can either multiply the people that are around us, meaning like we can, by giving the right praise and encouragement and interaction with the folks that are around us, we're going to multiply each other. We will get like 2, 3, 4, 5, 10x out of the people around us. But the opposite of that is true as well. We might accidentally diminish the people around us. So there's like intentional diminishers, which are just jerks. I try not to be a jerk. But there are definitely times when I don't even realize it, that I'm just kind of accidentally diminishing the people that are around me. That book talks all about that. So Multipliers is a great one.
That's it for this episode of MindShift. This series is presented by Startland News, KC's nonprofit newsroom for startups and innovators. Produced by Social Apex Media, a Kansas City marketing and content studio. If this hit for you, share it with another entrepreneur and subscribe for the next video.